What's up, everybody? We got the penultimate episode of Reacher Season 3 today, but before I dive into that episode, I ask that you subscribe to the channel. It's the easiest way to support, and all it takes is one simple click. Thank you very much. Now let's talk Reacher. For the first time since, well, honestly, I think maybe since that 3 episode premiere for this season a couple weeks ago, I enjoyed the opening scene of an episode. Alan Ritchson and Sonia Cassidy continued to build on their chemistry, which has been great, but it was so damn painful watching that grandma in pain, even though she would be, regardless of whether, Duffy told her the truth or not. I get it, it's a damned if you do, damned if you don't situation. Anyway, there was another great Neely scene in here too, and another one that definitely felt like it was setting up her spin-off show, and I don't mean that as a bad thing. It's a good scene on its own too, bringing her into Reacher's story, and I hope her show is actually like what we get here in season 3, as it feels to me like this Kostopoulos guy is gonna be her villain. Speaking of villains, with this season having Paulie, who's somehow bigger than Reacher, and Quinn, someone who has Reacher terrified, I've been left rather unimpressed. Olivier Richters is great as Paulie. I'm not saying he's not. That was one of my most anticipated parts of the season, and to be fair, I hadn't read the book, so I didn't know, that we barely see him. So it's almost like, and let me know if I'm reaching with this down in the comments below, but it feels to me like they're really hammering home that, the people who do these terrible things like Quinn aren't usually the tough guys when they're not in power. Honestly, all my complaints from this season so far spawned from the villains of this season, so let's just shift back to Reacher and company real quick because I don't want to repeat myself too much, and there is something else I'm going to talk about here from this episode, and I mentioned it last week, but we're going to have to go back to it once again. However, over with Reacher and the gang, this scene in the hotel room was perfect to me, not only because Neely knows about him and Duffy right away, but because of her and Reacher's dynamic. That's Neely and Reacher. It's so good, and I think Alan Ritchson's gonna just have to free up some time to go shoot an episode or two for her spin-off show, because this duo is a must-have for me in this world. Then, believe it or not, I actually had another finally moment with this episode, and it was the Becks, both boys having a good scene without Reacher. Anthony Michael Hall really stepped up here and had far and away his best scene in the show, and I thought he was also damn good in his scene with Neely. So, I guess it just turns out he's maybe not that great at playing the villain, the super intimidating guy, but he's on top of things now that he's in this backed up position here going into the finale. Unfortunately, that's not the case with Quinn, at least not for me, as I'm just not sold on him still, even after that Russian roulette scene last week in this episode with the basement and the drugging her, and I do think, it might be because of Brian T's performance. I like the scenes they're crafting for Quinn, but he's still not menacing enough, and it really doesn't feel like Reacher should be scared of him like I said last week. I said it in a response to a comment last week, actually, but he needed that, Negan entrance that he had in The Walking Dead, and he just didn't get it, so here we are. But like I said, it's really only the villains I'm not vibing with here in season 3. The tension was incredible between Reacher and Duffy here towards the end of the episode, and I wanted him to say no to fucking off to the feds so bad. I mean, his two options were what? Sit in the surveillance van, obviously. He goes no, and then it's like, fuck off. He just walks out. I wanted him to say no so bad. But you also know he's not sitting on the sidelines. That's not Reacher, and I'll be damned. I think Reacher's quest for vengeance has put Ritchson at the top of my personal list, and we're getting nerdy here, I'm sorry, but he's at the top of my personal list for the next Batman. I mean, there's just no stopping the big man once he's on his mission, because like he tells Duffy, he's got nothing to lose, he's already a drifter. Then, to end on that cliffhanger with a fake deal going down and Reacher seconds away from being a federal fugitive, I wanted to pull my hair out. It was so good, but in no way do I want to wait a whole week for that finale. But this was another strong episode overall. I mean, between the twists in this story, just in this episode alone, but the whole season 2, the cast truly coming together late in the season here, and most importantly, the cliffhangers. This is shaping up to potentially be my favorite season of the show so far. This is also probably my favorite episode of the season so far, but I do think it sets up what will be my favorite episode from this season, the finale. And so that's going to do it for my review of the penultimate episode of Reacher Season 3. Thank you once again for stopping by the channel, and remember to subscribe, smash that like button, and drop your thoughts on episode 7 down in the comments below, and make sure you have a great day.